Welcome or welcome back to the Tennessee Conservatives Big 7 News Podcast. My name is Adelia Kirchner, and I don't know who invented roundabouts, okay? But I am so happy to be back in my home state of Tennessee, in specifically a more rural-ish area of Tennessee, where there is not a roundabout in sight, because, see, I went on a little adventure to the north recently, and they love their roundabouts. Whatever road planners, I don't know where this whole, excuse my French, but godforsaken practice of roundabouts came from, but I hate them, and there's a lot in Indiana and Wisconsin and Minnesota, and there should just be no roundabouts ever. I mean, I know there's one in Nashville. I've driven that one before, but I think that, you know, since our lawmakers and the governor have all this power, they should just, no, I'm just joking, but we should put a ban on roundabouts. Anyways, back to what you care about. We've got some pretty interesting stuff this week, guys. From law enforcement catching an illegal immigrant who's already been deported from the country multiple times, to former Representative Robin Smith facing a $28,000 judgment for her role in the alleged Cassidy-Cothran kickback scheme, to a certain Tennessee lawmaker who got arrested for a DUI facing an upcoming sentencing hearing, back to a couple other stories about illegal immigrants causing a few problems here in our grand state of Tennessee. But before we get into our top news stories of the week, be sure to subscribe to our free daily e-newsletter. Just text NEWS to 423-205-5600. That's NEWS to 423-205-5600. You can also follow us on X, Truth, Getter, Gab, Rumble, and MeWe. Those are the social media platforms on which we have not been shadow banned. To all of you who try to follow us on Facebook, there's a reason you don't see us in your feed. Okay, next page. Story number 1. Former Tennessee State Rep. Robin Smith faces $28,000 judgment in kickback scheme case. A $28,000 judgment has been handed down against former Republican state lawmaker Robin Smith, a key witness in the trial against former Tennessee Speaker of the House Glenn Cassida and his former Chief of Staff Kate Cothran. The dollar amount is considered to be equal to the amount of Smith's proceeds from the bribery and kickback scheme, and Smith has agreed to the $28,263.26 number. Oh boy, that's a lot of money, guys. Smith is required to provide her tax returns going back to the year 2020 until her payment of the judgment is complete. During the payment period, the IRS will release Smith's tax returns to the Asset Forfeiture Unit of the United States Attorney's Office. Back in 2022, around 20 federal charges were brought regarding an alleged fraud scheme associated with a mailer company called Phoenix Solutions. Early on in proceedings, Smith pleaded guilty to charges of honest services wire fraud. Smith still faces up to 20 years in prison on these charges. Her attorney has stated that Smith will be providing additional aid to the federal government in the cases against Cassida and Cothran. Earlier this year, Cassida and Cothran were found guilty by a jury on the bribery and kickback charges. They have a sentencing scheduled for September 12th of this year. However, the sentencing may be delayed following the filings of motions of acquittal, as well as motion for a new trial. Smith's sentencing is scheduled for October 24th of this year at 9 a.m. Central Time. Struggling, guys. Got a lot of papers here. Okay. Next story is, Mount Juliet license plate readers help police catch illegal alien who had been deported multiple times. The city of Mount Juliet's Guardian Shield license plate reader system helped law enforcement catch an illegal alien over the weekend who had been deported multiple times from the United States. Luis Ramirez, I'm sorry. I don't know the pronunciation there, but anyways, this dude was pulled over on July 25th by Mount Juliet police after the LPR system alerted officers about a stolen Chevy Cruze entering the city from Davidson County. The car had been reported as stolen in Kentucky on July 3rd after a money order was used to purchase the vehicle, which turned out to be fraudulent. MJPD monitored the vehicle until it pulled into a driveway and was stopped. At that point, Ramirez attempted to run away from the officers, but was found in a nearby wooded area a short time later after MJPD secured the area. A female passenger, Jenny Kelly from Jackson, Tennessee, was apprehended at the car while parked in the driveway on Nonaville Road. Kelly was charged with theft of property and possession of drug paraphernalia. She had warrants out for her arrest out of 3 counties dating back to last year. How nice. In Nashville, she was wanted for failure to appear and a probation violation in Cheatham County for theft, and in Chester County for another probation violation in addition to drug-related charges. I don't know why I can't just read probation. I keep wanting to say prohibition, but that's not the right word, is it? Okay. Upon investigation, officers found printing equipment able to create fraudulent identification cards, many such fraudulent IDs, as well as a system that produced fraudulent money orders and checks in the vehicle. Discovered to be an illegal alien, Guinness Ramirez has been deported from the U.S. a total of 7 different times and had continued to return without authorization. 7 different times, guys. This man has been deported from our country 7 different times. But he's back, committing crimes. Yay. In Tennessee, specifically. And how many years did people say, hey, what are we going to do in Tennessee to protect our borders? Hey, what are we going to do in Tennessee about this illegal immigration problem? That's not a state problem. That's a country problem. That's a federal issue. Okay, yeah, but where's the impact? It's local. Anyways, Guinness Ramirez was charged with theft of property, both misdemeanor and felony evading arrest, possession of drug paraphernalia, and possession of methamphetamines. Story number 3. Conservative legal group requests Tennessee Attorney General investigate Cracker Barrel for DEI discrimination. Man, Cracker Barrel's just under all sorts of fire lately, aren't they? Both sides. A government accountability legal group has formally requested an investigation by the Tennessee Attorney General and U.S. Equal Employment Opportunity Commission into Tennessee-based Cracker Barrel Incorporated, alleging the company is violating state and federal civil rights laws through discriminatory DEI policies. America First Legal has filed a complaint claiming Cracker Barrel is providing unique employment benefits to certain races and sexes. The company's public statements, regulatory filings, and internal policies shows that it uses diversity as a proxy for race and sex, according to their press release. They state that last year, Cracker Barrel rebranded their dedicated DEI website from diversity and inclusion to culture and inclusion. Ooh, how fancy. Which claims that discrimination, overt or through unconscious bias, has no place at Cracker Barrel Old Country Store. Yet AFL points to the company's 2024 Environmental, Social, and Governance (ESG) report, which tracks workforce demographics by race and gender and clearly shows an intentional uptick in hiring a more diverse workforce across Cracker Barrel's professional staff, store-level management, and hourly workers since 2022. Furthermore, the complaint highlights Cracker Barrel's business resource groups, which are supposedly intended to support the development of diverse team members, end quote. But certain BRGs appear to offer benefits exclusively based on an employee's race or sex. Some examples include groups specifically aiming to develop and promote opportunities for Black leaders and Latino team members, while others provide inclusive spaces for LGBTQ+ people to meet and increase awareness, or empowering, educating, and engaging to achieve strategic initiatives to inspire the women of Cracker Barrel. The women of Cracker Barrel. Okay. Reportedly, Cracker Barrel admits in its 2024 shareholder proxy statement that pursuing diversity specifically equates to considering race and sex, and diversity of age, gender, race, and ethnic background are factored in when evaluating candidates for the company's board of directors. Treating employees differently because of their race or sex is not only wrong, it is illegal and violates numerous federal and state civil rights laws, the press release concludes. There we go. Back to another illegal alien. Let's get it. Story number 4. Illegal alien arrested in Murfreesboro after tricking elderly lady out of $55,000. $55,000. Murfreesboro police arrested an illegal alien who is accused of scamming an elderly woman out of thousands of dollars. Another name I can't pronounce, guys. This is terrible. Gurjinder Singh, something like that, was arrested on July 22nd after being met by detectives when he arrived via Uber at the 77-year-old woman's home to collect what he thought was a $38,000 payment. The scammers impersonated agents from the DEA, Federal Trade Commission, and the U.S. Department of the Treasury. They had already tricked the woman into giving them $55,000. A spokesperson for the MPD explained that the woman received a call in which the scammers told the woman she was under investigation for a seized illegal package from Amazon and had an outstanding warrant. They instructed her to stay on the phone while she withdrew large sums of cash from multiple financial institutions. She later handed the money to an unknown individual outside her home. The scammers then directed her to withdraw an additional $38,000 and the money would be picked up at her home the next day. Detectives monitored the woman while she was on the phone call, arresting Singh when he arrived to collect the second payment. Singh was charged with theft over $60,000 and financial exploitation of a vulnerable person. He was booked into the Rutherford County Adult Detention Center. Records indicate that Singh has an ICE detainer and will remain in custody until he is released to U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement. That poor woman. I mean, that's some people's whole yearly salary. I don't know if it was hers, but that's some people's whole yearly salary. That's a lot of money, guys. Another illegal alien story. Here we go. Belmont University running damage control amidst illegal alien harboring and DEI cover-ups. After initially claiming they are following all state and federal laws regarding DEI policies and immigration, Belmont University has announced it will be undergoing an independent audit to ensure all their policies come into compliance after additional internal documents were leaked showing more discriminatory hiring practices. Earlier this month, undercover footage was obtained wherein a university staffer admitted the school knowingly enrolls illegal alien students and hides them from discovery, and that the rebrand of the DEI office to the Office of Hope, Unity, and Belonging, HUB for short, was a deliberate circumvention of anti-discriminatory federal policies. The audacity of some of these schools. I mean, it's kind of... I mean, they try. It's like when you've got a young child and either it's your child or your friend's child or you're babysitting or whatever the case may be. You've got a young child and you say, hey, wipe the table off for me. And you assume they understand that means either clear the table off and wipe it off, or wipe it off and dry it off. But then they just wipe it off and leave all the stuff sitting there and then don't take a towel and dry it off. And they go, well, you just said to wipe off the table. They're like, well, you just said no diversity, equity, and inclusion. You did not say no hope, unity, and belonging. Come on. You gotta be more specific, right? Okay. Anyways. Tennessee Congressman Andy Ogles immediately called for a federal investigation into the school and released several Belmont bombshells containing documents obtained from whistleblowers, including emails about the faculty DEI committee and curriculum proposals requiring diversity impact statements for new or updated courses to be considered. Apologies. My phone was giving me a notification and blocking the recording. Where were we? Belmont President Greg Jones initially responded to the evidence by sending a campus-wide email and issuing press statements claiming the school was being unfairly portrayed and expressing disappointment in Representative Ogles for his exposés, but continued conservative lawmaker and media pressure, along with another batch of leaked internal documents, so that's looking good for them, has apparently led the university to reverse course and run some damage control. The latest documents show Belmont's official hiring guidelines for deans, which, amongst a litany of other DEI provisions, explicitly requires the prioritization of minority candidates, even stating job descriptions must explicitly encourage applications from historically underrepresented groups in the U.S., and also forces re-advertisement of the position if a minority does not apply. Now, according to an email from the university president's office to faculty and staff, the university has decided to enlist an external partner to initiate an independent compliance review. aiming to bring the school into complete observance of President Trump's executive orders requiring the termination of any and all DEI programs and initiatives in higher education institutions. The review will also reportedly determine if Belmont is abiding by all state and federal immigration laws, including the new Tennessee law creating felony offenses for human smuggling, which is partially defined as concealing, harboring, or shielding illegals from authorities for financial gain. Okay. Story number 6. New policy in one Tennessee county pressures kids to attend school even while sick. A new policy in Lawrence County, Tennessee is putting pressure on parents to send their kids to school even when they are sick. According to the Lawrence County school system, the policy's aim is to improve attendance within the district. Doctor's notes will no longer be valid as an excuse to miss school. As the new school year is set to begin, parents have been informed that all students will simply be marked present or absent. The district attempted to get local doctors on board by sending them a letter that said that providing medical notes for 2 or more days might persuade students to stay home instead of going to school. LCSS also asked medical providers in the community to, quote-unquote, emphasize the importance of regular school attendance while treating school-aged patients. Lawrence County Schools will begin intervention for absenteeism after just 3 absences. After 8 absences and no cooperation between students, parents, and the school, a referral will be made to the Lawrence County Juvenile Court for truancy. Early checkouts and tardiness will accumulate into days being marked absent, with 3 tardies and 3 early checkouts considered an absence. High school students with more than 10 consecutive absences, 15 absences in any one semester, or 24 absences in total for an academic year risk losing their driver's license or permit. Seniors who have 14 absences will not be permitted to graduate. While notes from parents or doctors may explain an absence at the school level, it is still reported as absent. A student who misses 10% of the school year, which amounts to 18 days, is considered to be chronically absent regardless of the reason. So obviously this wouldn't have been allowed during COVID. God forbid. And then my other comment on that is, we value parental authority, right? Right. Okay. Last story of the week. I've been looking forward to, no, I'm not going to say that. But I'm just like, this is just so ridiculous. Okay, Tennessee senator arrested for DUI and other charges in Georgia, scheduled for hearing at the end of the month. Okay, for those of you who don't remember, Tennessee Senator Ken Yager was arrested on 3 charges last December, right before legislative session started. We talked about this. You should be watching all of these videos because we're informing you, right? So, anyways, he was arrested on 3 charges last December, pretty much got a DUI in Georgia. Now he's scheduled for a motions hearing on July 31st. So, this week, okay? Yager, chairman of the Senate Republican caucus, was arrested by the Georgia State Patrol on charges of DUI, hit and run, and failure to stop at a stop sign. Upon catching up with him, troopers found the 77-year-old senator receiving emergency medical services after a fall and noticed that his breath smelled of alcohol. Yager admitted to being involved in a crash earlier in the day. Yager submitted to a breathalyzer test but refused a blood test. A video of his field sobriety test in which he sways and stumbles shows that he was unable to walk in a straight line as directed by officers. And, that was what we witnessed when this was all being talked about back in January. Anyways, in a statement following his arrest and release, Yager called what happened an unfortunate incident. In Georgia, a first DUI is generally a misdemeanor conviction, which could mean anywhere from 24 hours to 12 months in jail, $300 to $1,000 in fines, and a license suspension of 12 months. In addition, a minimum of 20 hours of community service is mandatory, with 40 hours minimum if blood alcohol content in the case was found to be 0.08% or greater. The other 2 charges will likely also be misdemeanors with a maximum penalty of 12 months in jail and up to $1,000 in fines. Don't drink and drive, kids! But especially don't do it if you're literally a sitting politician. Yeah. Or a teacher, or a pastor, or it's bad enough to do it. and to put other people's lives at risk, and then to literally be in a position where you are supposed to have some sort of authority over others, where you're literally making laws that put people in jail or give them misdemeanors and felonies for this type of behavior. Like, if you're the one making the laws and you can't even adhere to it, really? Come on. Okay. But that's it. That's all I've got for you. If you want the full and complete rundown on any or all of our Big 7 stories of the week, check out the links in the description, or head straight over to TennesseeConservativeNews.com. If you like what we're doing and want us to keep it up, please consider donating to support the cause. All you have to do is, again, go to TennesseeConservativeNews.com and hit that orange support button. It's right at the top of the page. It's just a little rectangle. It says support. Okay. I have a little fly friend of some sort. I love summer. Bugs. Yeah. Yay. Anyways. Oh, while you're on our website, another thing you should do is hit that yellow subscribe button. It's right next to the orange support button. You hit that subscribe button, it subscribes you to our free weekly e-newsletter. That way you get a nice little email every weekday that fills you in on our big news stories of the day, so that by the time you get here, you might already have a better idea of what's going on. You know, sometimes you don't want to listen to me, or you don't want to listen to Brandon, or Olivia, you know, we get it. It's fine. You know, sometimes you're just annoyed by our presence. That's okay. You can go read. All these stories are on our website. They're all right there. We wrote them up for you, so you don't have to listen to us read them to you. You can read them to yourself. Or better yet, you know, if you're married, you got your bed partner, you can have them read it to you as you fall asleep. You got children? I wouldn't necessarily recommend some of these stories as bedtime stories, but, you know, maybe the Cracker Barrel one would do. Although that's definitely indoctrination. So, you know, that's up to your discretion as a parent. Don't forget to check out the Tennessee Conservative podcast on your favorite platform and leave us a 5-star review. As always, your listenership is appreciated, your readership is appreciated, and we will be back soon with another Big 7. Bye!